I don't know what college I want to go to, but I know I want to be a teacher. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor.
How come?
Because I would like to help somebody in need.
10 years ago, it felt like the teachers I followed were passionate and idealistic, but the system was going to crush them. And many of them have left, and some of them have formed their own charters. But now I feel like it's possible. I really feel like in the movie I use the example of Chuck Yeager breaking the sound barrier. You know, I feel like I'm very hopeful. There are new laws in Colorado, New Haven, Connecticut. In D.C. there's a new contract. The new race to the top thing the Obama administration is doing is really excellent. It's really pushing states to change and reform. I think it's an exciting time for education. I really do. I think the stakes are really high and we're failing too many kids. But the examples I give of the KIPP schools, you have one here in Dallas, Jeffrey Canada schools, and there's successful schools all across the country that have broken the code. Like 10 years ago when I made my first documentary about public schools, it felt like the code was impossible. And now they've found the ingredients for successful schools, and I'm very hopeful. The question is the country going to wake up to it? And that's why I made the movie. Like, are they going to pay attention? So I made this film more for moms and dads to let them know that the stakes are really high, that affects every kid. But but also it's really important to say that it's possible.
Either the kids are getting stupider every year, or something is wrong in the education system.
I just try to do my best in school and make my grandmother proud.
I think schools get changed locally. You know, at the best, they get changed in the state. You know, the money most of the money comes from the state. But I think when schools change, when moms and dads step up and demand that they change, that the schools be better, or students demand that their schools be better. Federal government doesn't give that much money, so they don't have that much influence. And so that's what's interesting about the race to the top is they've been, instead of saying we're going to give you lots of money, we're going to give you incentives. We'll only give a few states money away. And what they found is that more money doesn't make better schools. Teachers need more money. They need more books. Schools need more money. They need better facilities. But pouring more money into a broken system means the money goes to the wrong place. So one of the reforms they talk about is putting money in the hands of the principal. Put the power, instead of these big centralized bureaucracy that I know you have here in Dallas. So it's a riddle, but it doesn't necessarily mean more money. The first thing you got to do is reform the system, and then more money will start to work.
Among 30 developed countries, we rank 25th in math and 21st in science. In almost every category, we've fallen behind, except one. Kids from the USA rank #1 in confidence.
It's very easy to read into the movie as sort of pro this or anti that. You know, if there's one agenda, it's I'll put it out on the table. It's that, you know, I want everyone in America to care as much about other people's children as they care about their own. You know, if parents in America fight for every kid the way they fight for their own, we'll fix our schools right away. I mean, I think that schools get changed one at a time. Like what's really exciting about these stories, you see these two guys in Houston, you know, Mike Feinberg, David Levin, and they were Teach for America. They were teaching in a mainstream school, and they just said, wait a minute, if the system is wrong, let's make our own system. Or if you're a church, and you see it, you're driving by a school, and you say, you know what, it's not serving kids. Let's go in and adopt that school and help and tutor kids. And I think too many of us just drive by our schools, you know, like I do, and you say, you know what, it's just too tough, too complicated. We'll take care of our own. And I think churches play a big role.
I think about 60,000 people have gone to this school in 40 years. 40,000 didn't graduate. This is the damage that this school has done to this neighborhood.
A child that doesn't finish high school will earn less and be 8 times more likely to go to prison.
I want to go to school.
For these kids, their only chance at getting into a great school depends on whether their number is picked in a lottery.
I knew that I wanted to highlight the lottery. I felt like that was an amazing metaphor for what happens to every kid. That there's this sort of, arbitrary thing that determines whether you're going to have a good education and a chance at the dream. So I found schools that had lotteries, and I found families that were about to go into the lottery. And then I decided to describe what would happen to them if they win or if they lose.
Kids look at the world and they make certain predictions based on the evidence they're receiving from their peers, from their parents, and from their teachers. From their perspective, the world is a heartless, cold-blooded place because they realize they've been given the short end of the stick and they don't know why.
Jeffrey Canada says it. He says the way our schools are is an abomination. It's just, and you see it. I was in these, Francisco's home in the Bronx, or Daisy's home in East LA. Anthony's home in Anacostia. You say, well, these are good kids. They got the same potential as my kids. They get the same hopes and dreams as my kids, and that the school lets them down. And it's abomination, and it's un-American. In America, everyone has a chance to succeed, right?
So if Francisco doesn't get in, is there another chance?
No.
Your children and future generations are on the bridge of the Titanic, and everybody's going to drown.
Someone is taking an interest in you, someone loves you, and they recognize the importance of education.
I think every mother wants the best for their kids. That doesn't mean every mother has the capacity to help their kids or isn't too involved in their own problems to help their kids. There are parents they're screwed up in my life too. I live in an upper middle class neighborhood, and I see friends of mine who are terrible parents. So that happens everywhere. But on the whole, parents want to see their kids succeed, on the whole. Now, at a certain point, and Jeffrey Canada is really articulate about that, your kids in third grade, and they want to be an astronaut, they want to be a dentist, they want to be a doctor or a lawyer. By 10th grade, they're smart, they look at the options. They're not going anywhere. They can see what's happening to their friends, they can see that there are no jobs, they can see that the teachers don't care. And that cycle builds on itself. And maybe your friend's parent was that person. Right. So you get cynical and you feel like the schools don't work. So why should I care? So the work that you got to do to attack that mentality, in my opinion, is to create great schools.
It takes a lot of outrage and a lot of good examples to say, yes, we can do this.
When you see a great teacher, you are seeing a work of art.
I want my kids to have better than what I had.
18, 10, 12, 2, and the last number